Hello and welcome to episode 183 of the 77 Club. We've got Talking Wolves royalty with us. Harry Mansell is here, and also Matt Cooper, also from Talking Wolves.
You're such an idiot.
Oh God. Anyway, it's been nice to join you. That's all. I knew we was going to do that, dickhead.
Harry, start with our socials if you can.
Yeah, the Wall 77 Club Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter, YouTube, please subscribe, Spotify, iTunes, and Wolves Radio. No, I'm joking, you'll get to Talking Wolves for that. So.
Oh, excellent. Look, I always ask Dave to do the same, Matt. If you can put our socials on your socials, that'd be great. But for those that haven't heard, just tell them where they can go to find your content.
So you can find me on Twitter at mcooperwrites and Talking Wolves across all the other socials. So yeah, it's but this is the only kind of podcast that crosses over, isn't it? Really, I feel like it's we've got good relations.
We do.
Yeah, and then
we do indeed.
The other podcast is like Russia and Ukraine.
It's so true.
It is.
Right, okay. Well, look, let's start with a game yesterday. Harry, it was a pretty wobbly trip home for us in the rain. I mean, I don't know if you saw some pictures. I think BBC Midlands posted a photo. I think it was from the South Bank looking at the North Bank, and like just the whole of the sky was black and really moody. But, tough game, but you know, a brilliant result against the Leicester side, which we don't normally get much from these days.
Yeah, and going into the game, I was really, really nervous because huge pressure on the game to win. Leicester have had their injuries, and we were the favourites. And on the day, arguably, I think Leicester probably feel a bit hard done by with us coming away with the 3 points. But we dug out, and Jose Sarr pulled off some great saves, and thankfully, we held out for the huge 3 points, which could be vital come the end of the season.
Just how big are these 3 points, Matt?
I think they're massive, and especially within this month. I think we all kind of earmarked February, coming like after January. It's like this is the month where we're going to find out or get a good understanding of what we can do this season. But I think it sounds cliche, but every point's vital, isn't it? Especially when other clubs are dropping points. But I've just come off another Leicester channel, and they basically said that they thought they deserved to at least get a point, which I said I agree. But every time we played, we battered you and come away with nothing. So there you go.
That's it. Yeah, what goes around comes around. Yeah. Harry, it was a slippery surface. Early doors, 9th minute goal from Ruben Neves. Great layoff from Raul as well.
Yeah, perfect start, wasn't it? Because we know when we get early goals, when we've got something to protect, it suits us really well, doesn't it, with our defensive record? And it was very, very welcomed. But after that goal, Leicester kind of come back onto us, didn't they? And it was inevitable they're going to equalise. But yeah, great finish from Neves. Similar to his goal at Brentford, wasn't it? Like bottom corner-ish. And great layoff by Raul. But I know Raul's been getting a lot of stick for his performance, but I thought he did really well for that goal, to be honest. Good layoff.
Daniel Podence seems to be getting better every game, Matt, it seems. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I was one of those who could have wrote him off last season. And I think I'm going to blame it on Nuno again. In typical me.
He's not here to defend himself.
No, it's like when we've seen Podence play for us previously, it's almost been as an out-and-out winger. And I don't think he possesses electric pace. And he's just a lot cuter than that. And you're right, he's played so well this season. He's such a clever player. He almost picks up those half positions in between the lines, where he's unmarked. I mean, the goal yesterday was a perfect example of it. No one was picking him up. He hasn't committed to going to the box. He's found the space, and he's created a chance out of nothing, really, because it's still such a hard finish. But I don't know how he doesn't get any kind of backlift on the shot.
Yeah.
It's probably because his little legs. I mean, my coffee table's got longer legs than him.
It was against the front of play as well, wasn't it? That goal. And remember first half as well when he I can't remember who he did it, but he kept like cutting back, and he cut him back like, 8-0 in the end. That was a good bit of skill as well.
The way he turns on a sixpence is just a great option, isn't it, going forward?
It helps being like 5 foot. He got 5'5", 5'4". Like his center of gravity is like zero to none, isn't it? He's wonderful to watch when he's in that mood. But like I said, I was one of those who wrote him off. But if we'd have flogged Kilman in the summer, I wouldn't have been bothered.
Oh no.
And I think that's credit to the coach we've got now.
I think so, yeah. And you mentioned him there, Max Kilman again seems to be getting better with every game. We were sort of saying last week on the podcast that he has to be a dead cert for an England call-up, especially with the World Cup round the corner. Do you think he's playing himself into that squad now?
I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because Southgate's got his favourites and it can be a little bit clicky because, you know, when the squad comes out, Mings will be in there and Kilman won't be. and I still think Kilman has limitations to his game. I think he's been excellent this season, but even with those limitations to his game, he's 100 times better player than Mings. Your argument is really, if England are going to play a back five, then 40% of that back five should be from Wolves. Because Cody plays that role better than anybody in the league. And Kilman looks very assured next to him. So I'd like to see him in a squad, mate, but I wouldn't hold my breath. He likes a Michael Keane will get in and those kind of players.
Ben White and that sort of calibre.
Yeah.
I know TalkSport had said today that the Chelsea scouts had been watching Kilman. Harry, probably a little bit of clickbait going on, but when you're in form and you've got one of the best defensive records in Europe, then I imagine scouts are going to be scouting you.
Yeah, and it took a while for people to start to notice Kilman. Obviously, Wolves fans have known how good he's been all season. And it's a bit of a worry, didn't they say he's a boyhood Chelsea fan? So it kind of makes sense. It's a bit like Declan Rice at West Ham. He's probably inevitably going to end up going to Chelsea. And if Kilman carries on like this, especially if he does it again next season, for example, you wouldn't be surprised that he'd leave. And you'd want big money, though, wouldn't you? I mean, young, English.
Say young. I think he's 25.
Yeah, well, that's still young for a defender.
We're all getting older, isn't it?
Yeah, young for a defender.
How much would you want for him, realistically?
It's got to be 50 million plus for me, easily. It's in today's
50
market.
million?
I think so. If he carries on like he is.
Matt, how much is he worth?
I think he's knocking on the door of 35, 40 million if he carries on having the season he's had. If Chelsea came to us at the end of the season and said, here's 40 million, you'd snap your hand off, especially with Bruno kind of angling he wants to go to a back four, because I think he's been excellent this season, but if you want to play a back four, you need two centre halves who can defend large spaces, and I don't think any of our back three can. You almost got to sell him at the peak of his kind of form, haven't you? Because you'd be able to go and find a centre half that was maybe not better, but on that level. Benoit Badiashile, who we've been linked with before, like you go and get him, you probably have some change left over as well. So I mean, I wouldn't want him to go, but if someone came in and offered 35, 40 million, first one would be looking at it and think, we paid a nominal fee for him. That's our job done. And I don't think you could complain if they did. Obviously, as long as they brought in another centre half, because don't be spinning that Mosquera as the answer, because we're not having that. We had the same with Chiquinho being the answer to the new Adama. So as long as they invest it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, someone said Wolf says at least 100 million if Harry Maguire's worth 80 million. So
that is the yardstick, though, isn't it? Like
it is a little bit, yeah. But yeah. And then, Van Dijk, 75, wasn't he? And, they are just a different calibre of player. Well, Van Dijk is for me anyway.
He's not on Van Dijk's level.
Not quite. Not quite. Harry, the big talking point of the game was a player that didn't even start the match, and Pedro Neto is back. And, we were worried last week that, players coming back from long-term injury, especially ones as bad as what Neto has had. And obviously, it's in the same with Jimenez as well, and not quite getting back to the levels that he was at. But I thought he didn't look out of place when he came on, and how good is it for him to be back?
Yeah, incredible. And obviously because Bruno Lage dropped the quotes, didn't he, in the week saying we've near enough got everybody fit, so everyone got excited. And you see he's on the bench and he comes on just if he had been away, innit? He just bombing up the pitch. That one run at the end when Schmeichel was off his line, I thought he was going to get a goal as well. And he could be absolutely vital for our season, couldn't he? So hopefully he'd be starting sooner rather than later, because I think we all thought he wouldn't be back until like March, didn't we? So I know we're in late February now, so he's back quicker than expected. And what a player, because on his day, he is our best player, isn't he? Especially the form he was in before their injury. Anyway.
Matt, Neto, perfect comeback. Is he the right player coming back at the right time?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. And hopefully the injury he's had, it's a patella injury. You'd like to think, having read up on it the past couple of weeks, it's not one of those where it's like we might not come back the same player. Normally, it takes a long time to rehabilitate, but it's not like a cruciate ligament. So just praying that we can hit the ground running. He looked good yesterday. Looked, I think, a little bit rusty. There's a couple of times where he got the ball out of his feet, and I think Neto of old would have skinned 2 or 3 players. But it's just good to see him really back out there, and it gives us another option, and almost I think it gives us another dimension because probably only Wang offers what he does. Obviously, Neto's a better player, but that's the beauty of these wide men now. They all offer something completely different. Harry probably thinks, Trincao offers you something different. It was complete shit. That's what he offers.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that surprised me. With the starting lineup yesterday, obviously went free midfield again. I know Huang come on about the 60th minute for Matinho, but I thought he'd go back to like a free up top type thing with the 2 wingers and Raul in the middle. But I think that's what it will be going forward. But when we're away from home, like on Thursday against Arsenal, he probably will switch back to free midfield again, won't he? So it's a strange one, that. But with that many options now, I think go back to the free up top.
Like the first half, after the goal, it was almost one-way traffic. Like Leicester were all over us. They were really overloading us in the wide areas. And as soon as Huang came on and gave us a bit more balance and a few more numbers in the wide areas, I think we controlled the game. Obviously, Leicester last 10 minutes pushed on more, but every team would do that with the chasing a goal. So I don't think Bruno got it wrong at all. I just think that that's where the issue was. He identified it and changed it, and was it 5 or 6 minutes later we scored? So bloke's genius.
Harry, without the ball for a lot of the game, I think the possession stats were about 34% in the end, which seemed incredibly low, and I didn't think it was low as that. 3 shots on target, obviously getting 2 goals as well. Wolves game without the ball, how do you reckon that's going? Because 4 yellow cards in this one, and Neves picks up his 9th. So if he gets another one, he could, I think it'd be the Newcastle fixture. So before that, he'll get a 2-match ban. So I mean, being without him potentially for 2 games at what is very much and could be the business end of the season in terms of European places.
Yeah, got to be careful with that. But like I said at the beginning, I think if you're a Leicester fan, you'd feel hard done by. It did feel like we were surviving towards the end. They had a lot of chances. So I think they had like double our shots, didn't they? So and the Pedence goal was against the run of play, really. But when you don't play so good, it's nice to get the win, isn't it? And we've got to do that if we want to get to where we want to be. And on Leicester, I thought that Tillemans, he's a player, and Jesus, that ball he put through for their goal, which eventually got squared across, was incredible. But the only person that annoyed me on the day was Schmeichel. He had a bit of a moan, didn't he? I think he was trying to claim VAR, wasn't he? When like he said, Raul was in the way when Pedence scored. So you know what I mean. But yeah, on another day, honestly, like Leicester, they deserved at least a point, like I think Matt mentioned. But we hung on, we defended well. Jose Sarr, as I mentioned, pulled off a few really good saves, and it was our day, wasn't it? We had the rub of the green on the day.
Certainly did. Matt, how much better is that bench looking? Because you only have to go back a couple of weeks and you're looking at it going, oh dear. But much better this time round.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better. Thought it was interesting that Trincao didn't come on before Huang or Neto.
Yeah.
I thought we wouldn't see Neto. I thought he'd bring Trincao on. But I suppose even Trincao will get you up the pitch. I mean, he did it against Spurs in the last 10 minutes, won a couple of fouls. So perhaps he just thought Neto a bit more direct you up the pitch. But it looks a lot stronger. Was Chiquinho on the bench too? I'm not sure. I can't remember. But you had Neto, Huang, Trincao, Silva. So there's 4 offensive players. You had Kundaloo. He's a bit of an unknown, but did well against Spurs. It is looking stronger. I'd like another senior striker in there or someone. On that match, the Jimenez question is
that's what Kevin Jackson's put in the comments. What do you think about everyone's like caning him on Twitter?
He's playing a different role to last season. He's playing a lot deeper. Yeah. And Dave always says this on our podcast. It's not like he's missing sitter after sitter, but I don't. It's like he plays in half speed. I don't know if that's confidence, a lot of cockiness, or something's not quite there, like cognitively. I don't know. He's lucky to be alive.
Yeah, exactly. He set such a high level, didn't he, before his injury? So everyone expects him to be the same, but he's never gonna be. And he hasn't scored a header yet, has he? Since he's come back, he's had a few chances, but maybe that's something.
But even like his movement to get in the box, he's almost like hiding. Now, I don't know whether that's tactical or not, because we don't seem to commit many players into the box. But Bruno's been after a big centre forward for a while, almost as like a plan B. So I don't know. Perhaps he's seeing that and thinking, look, he's not getting on the end of anything. We need to bring someone else in. It's a difficult one. I do think it's something for the summer, though. I think it's something that should be considered. If he's got the MLS written all over him.
Yeah.
But if we bring in another striker to, I don't know, someone better than or his standard, is he going to be happy to play second fiddle? We might go to up top. It'd be interesting to see what they do, but I think they'll have conversations about it.
Definitely, yeah.
It will be interesting. Let's do a man of the match, Harry.
Split between Pedence and Sarr for me, but I think I said Pedence on the day, but I'm going to go with Sarr just because of the few of the saves he pulled off were so important. So I'll go Jose Sarr, yeah. And
he nearly knocked Schmeichel out, didn't he? Which is always good value for a punch. Matt, who was your man of the match?
I thought Semedo and Ait-Nouri had really good games again. Offensively as well, they did really well. Ait-Nouri is just magic on the ball, isn't he?
Yeah.
I put Ait-Nouri in the category of like those players who like they're not world class, but they just glide. Like Mahrez is one of my favourite players to watch. Like obviously he's a better player than Ait-Nouri, but the technique is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought he had a good game, but it has to be Pedence. I had two mates come down who were Glasgow Rangers fans who had not really seen much of Wolves. They don't really follow the Premier League, and they both went like, that number 10 is my new favourite player. He's not Messi. So off the back of that, and he did have a really good game, I'd say Pedence.
Excellent. Yeah.
Do you know what, Sam? Do you know what's weird? It's weird someone like praising Semedo on this podcast, isn't it? Like, it's nice.
It's strange. It is.
I know. I feel like I've got to go into bat for Semedo on this podcast.
I saw a great tweet from Ryan Lester, who said, "Champions of England, you'll never sing that." Sang the Leicester fans to Wolves who've won the league 3 times. It's really weird, isn't it? I mean, like, football started in 1992 or 2016 in their case. Yes, I thought that was quite funny. Let's have a look at the next 2 fixtures. Harry, they're huge. You're going to Arsenal on Thursday night. Yeah. This has come around quite quickly. There's a little bit of animosity at the moment, isn't it, from the Arsenal fans celebrating like they had won the league. Last week, was it? Week before?
Feels like it.
Molineux. Yeah. So a pretty quick turnaround. Do you think that's going to sort of play into their hands, or do you think it's going to get those Wolves players sort of psyched up for it?
Yeah, it's a bit of fire to this one, isn't there? After Neves and Cody, what they said about the full-time celebrations, it's going to be a bit heated, I reckon. And I'm quietly confident about this game, and I shouldn't say that, but I am. And now we've got all the options back we've got, and when we played Arsenal, we mentioned, didn't we? We were a bit bare-boned at that point. I know we played 3 in the midfield with Dendoncker. But I think if we're on it, we get an early goal and obviously protect it as we do. I fancy us to go and beat them. And if we want to do something crazy this season and keep trying to push towards the top 4, which obviously is a lot to ask, but even obviously top 6 would be amazing. We do need to win this game. And I think we are capable of doing it because they didn't impress me that much, even though they beat us at Molineux.
Is it a must-win game, Matt? I mean, there's only a sort of that select few teams that we can catch and we'll need to leapfrog if we're to get into a European place. Arsenal are arguably one of those, and obviously West Ham coming up next, so we'll be talking about that. But how important is this game?
It's really important, and like Harry said, there seems to be a bit of needle between players and fans. I mean, someone had clicked sort of Talking Wolves podcast that was talking about like all the things that had happened over the years, like the Louis sending off, and like so I'd only just seen it today because I'd only just checked my TikTok, and like, the pelters like we're getting off Arsenal fans. Honestly, God, there's like hundreds and hundreds of comments like, "You're shit, you'll go down next season, you're a finish." I'm like, bloody hell, that's like, chill out, just chill out. Like the David Luiz one was a sending off, like that's that's fine. And the Martinelli one's a sending off too. Like, it's just good officiating. But I'd say it's must win. I think we get 3. If you get 3 points out of the next 2 games, I'll be happy. So whether that comes at West Ham or Arsenal, I think Arsenal will get the top 4. I really do. I think Arteta's a good coach, and I think they'll have enough. But maybe with that added needle, those Wolves lads will really fancy it. I don't really agree with the Neves comments, if I'm honest, lads.
Really?
I just felt it was a little bit petulant. It's obviously Arsenal have slid down massively over the past few years. I know they won the FA Cup recently, but they're not the team they once was. And I think if anything, it shows how far we've come. They've come to Molineux, and taken 3 points off us in a game that after the sending off it was one-way traffic. It's a massive result for their season. So I wasn't sure about the Neves comments. Perhaps it was just completely out of angst. But I think if anything, it's a compliment to how well we've done this season.
Because he sort of did say that, didn't he? He said that it seems more of a sign of where Wolves are as a club.
I've just got to say as well, I forgot to mention, it's going to be a huge game for Raul, isn't it? Is it the first time he's gone back there since his head injury?
It's the first time we have.
Yeah. Oh, is it the first time we have as well? Yeah. So there we go. God, so it's going to be much psychologically for him. It would be a bit emotional, wouldn't it? Walking back out on that pitch after what happened. So that'd be interesting to see.
Definitely. Any changes, Matt?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he probably will go 3-5-2 purely because of it's away from home against a good team. Unless Bruno's seen something from the Arsenal game a couple of weeks ago at Molineux where he spotted a weakness. No, I'm not sure because we lined up 3-4-3, didn't we? There because Trincao started. So I think 3-5-2, and it gives you hopefully the chance to stay in the game. We may score 2 early goals again. That'd be great. I don't think we've lost this season from taking the lead. I don't think we've lost. So if we can get an early goal. But the issue was initially that we just weren't scoring enough goals, but we seem to have that hoodoo's kind of gone now. Like we're scoring, 2? What was the game before? We're actually scoring goals now. So yeah, I don't know. No challenges for me though, mate. I think the 3-5. I quite like the 3-5-2 though.
It's working, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because Dendoncker gets so much stick in it, but he had the game of his life against Spurs, didn't he? So
he was poor again yesterday, though.
Yeah. So it's weird with him, isn't it? He's a bit hot and cold, but it's so weird though because when we play the free, he just wanders everywhere, doesn't he? He goes like right wing, like drifts forward. It's like kind of strange.
That's what I think that Bruno's trying to do with him, and against the Norwich in the FA Cup, he was looking at his comments after the game. He was saying like. Dendoncker was picking up the wrong positions. Like he was almost playing as a right winger, where I wanted him to be in between the left back and the centre half in that channel. But you're asking him to, a central midfielder, central defender to play out of position. But I thought recently he has played better, but he weren't great yesterday. You can tell he's playing with a bit like a bag of coal on his back. Like he feels like. But you can tell that he's not a fan favourite, and he knows probably the crowd on his back. So perhaps he's just void of confidence. So if you're listening, Donk, go on, have the game of your life on Thursday, son.
Harry, Steve's made the point in the comment section. The lineup could change because of the short turnaround to West Ham, and it's a point, isn't it? Because I suppose there's going to have to be some changes there, either post Arsenal, pre Arsenal. We don't know which way around it is going to be yet. But like I say, do you think Bruno's got a master plan? That we saw him completely out tactic Rangnick against Man United in the way that drawing out with the wing backs and that style of play. Do you think that this could be something similar?
Yeah, maybe. But the thing that makes me think he will stick with the 3-5-2, I agree with Matt on that, is because away from home he always seems to go with that, especially lately. So we probably will see that formation for both games. But it's a good point. We've got the squad now to rotate a little bit as well, haven't we? With a quick turnaround Thursday, Sunday. So it'd be interesting to see what he does. And I mean, he makes the right decision most of the times, doesn't he, Bruno Lage? And makes a subject. He reacts as well, doesn't he? Obviously, we've mentioned the Hwang sub. So big decisions from him in 2 crucial games. And I just hope he gets it right. But will he start Neto? Do you know what I mean? If he does go with a 3 up top, is Neto ready to start? Probably not. Is Moutinho fit enough to start again? Because obviously he come off early. So yeah, I think we will see the 3 in midfield, and we've even got Kundl to slot in if he wants to go for him again, which I doubt, but he's an option there as well, isn't he? So
there's a couple of people in the comments saying that Kundl over Dendoncker would be what they would be going for.
Interesting. I don't think he will, but I can see why they're saying that.
Score prediction, Matt.
1-0 Wolves. I never like to go against Wolves. I think it'd be a tight game, 1-0.
Harry?
Yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence a bit and go 1-1.
You're not going with your usual 4-1
bet? 4-1. It's terrible.
I mean, I bet on it every week still. I tweet it out every time. And it's just never going to happen, is it?
Maybe aggregate score, maybe.
Scored more than 4 goals or more, like twice in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Well, in the League Cup, in the League Cup against
Forest. Yeah,
that's about it,
very
really.
fine.
But against Southampton, we were close, 3-1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I got
that's
excited.
true. It's true. Let's get your latest betting odds. I don't know if we're going to do some ticket news, but Harry, I think you've been sending through some by Bayliss before.
I better get these up.
So
this is usually Bayliss's gig, but he was kind enough to send it. We always have to put what's it called, a mad Semedo bet in. So here we go. He sent us 3 over. So Daniel Podence to score first and Wolves to win 2-1 is 100 to 1. Oh Jesus. Semedo and draw 1-1. Have a guess.
Even. He's that good.
350 to 1.
350 to 1. I mean, it's not that long ago that it was in the thousands, though. So,
Yeah. Matt did predict 1-0. So if it's Ruben Neves and 1-0 Wolves, that's 135 to 1.
Really?
So, yeah, there's the 3.
A little bit of value out there. Excellent. Okay.
Big odds.
Talking about West Ham, I suppose it just really does depend. We're having the same conversation as we just had, really, aren't we? These these are having played 2 more games than us, Matt. So is it a little bit different? Is there a little bit more riding on this one, or do you think West Ham are thinking actually this is almost on the verge of a 6-pointer?
I think it's more important for them than it is for us. They're on a bit of a slide at the minute, and I listen to TalkSport regularly, and it's just constantly West Ham fans moaning, saying the board haven't backed him. We're sliding down the table, we're playing rubbish. Declan Rice is going to go. So I think they'll be under the pressure a lot more than we will. I'd love us to go and get a result there, and I think if we're going to get a result, it's probably going to be there rather than the Emirates. But again, they're both so important. It could be that we lose to we beat Arsenal on Thursday, and all of a sudden the table changes again, and we lose to West Ham on Sunday, and it completely changes again. I feel like I can't keep up with it at the minute.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the West Ham fans there, Matt, because Harry, I think probably one of the many positives of lifting coronavirus restrictions would be that West Ham fans are allowed back in the stadium again and can completely ruin their team's chances of actually doing anything. I mean, look how good they were without that poisonous toxic atmosphere last time out. Yeah, but what do you reckon?
Well, I watched the game the weekend against Newcastle. Obviously, they drew 1-1, and I honestly think we've got a better chance of winning at West Ham than we do Arsenal, to be honest. They're obviously a decent team, got good players, but I think they're there to be beaten. But we don't know, do we? Obviously, the Arsenal game will be a huge factor going into the game, but we can go there and get a win, I think. We always seem to do okay there, don't we? Apart from that one in lockdown when they absolutely battered us at the beginning of one of the seasons. But yeah, it's going to be a big one, and I think we can go and get 3 points. I really do.
Matt, do you think that the West Ham game is probably going to be earmarked as a potential starting berth for Pedro Neto?
It depends if you play 3-5-2.
Yeah, exactly.
Not then Podence will start. I think if it's a 3-4-3, then yes. But I think he'll probably opt for Hwang purely because Hwang knows the system better than Neto. I know we're playing similar formation to last season, but it's obviously the system's different. He's probably fresher, not been on the sidelines for as long. So I think he'll opt with Hwang. Hwang probably gives you a bit more defensively as well. But there's no reason why Neto can't give you 30, 35 minutes off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Harry, I suppose the only other question potentially would be left wing back. It'd
be Aït-Nouri, wouldn't it?
Do you think he's now becoming that dead cert? Because obviously you've got Johnny back on the bench as well. For me, I think he was, before his injury, one of, if not our best defender.
It's interesting because Marcel came on, didn't he, for the last bit of the game yesterday. So it's hard to drop Aït-Nouri, isn't it? I mean, Matt mentioned how good he's been. He's a great player going forward and defensively. That was everyone's point about him. When they saying he's a bit weak defensively, but he's improved so much there. You think back to that game against Liverpool when he did really well against Salah. So Johnny, I'm sure he will get his chance at some point because he could go either side, couldn't he? Right wing back or left wing back. But for me, I think Aït-Nouri will stick as our main one, and Johnny will have to fight for his place as he comes back from this horrendous injury.
And do you think he is £10 million better than Ryan Giles, Matt?
Well, Bruno said that they're kind of on the same level, didn't they?
He did, yeah.
I don't think he's going to come out and say, "Well, Ryan Giles is shit, so he can go back to the Championship." So, I think Aït-Nouri's been excellent. It was weird with Johnny though, because if you're going to bring him on, that was the time to do it.
Yeah.
Instead, he brought on Papa them ankles back on the pitch. So I'm not sure. Perhaps Bruno just doesn't think he's that good. We've seen how good he is, but perhaps he's had 2 cruciate ligament injuries in the space of 18 months. I don't know. I doubt he'll ever come back the same player. I really don't, because they're big injuries. So I hope he does. But at the minute, for me, Aït-Nouri 100% is a starter, and as both know, Semedo is untouchable against any back in world football.
It's a breath of fresh air.
This is a Semedo Stan podcast now.
I'm getting Matt, I'm getting flashbacks of when we was down at half time against Norwich and Bailiff was trying to blame Semedo for their goal.
Oh God,
because it'd come down the right hand side.
Yeah, he'd do anything to blame Semedo, man. It's ridiculous.
Harry, score prediction against West Ham?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Wolves. I'm really confident about that one. But
Double
obviously,
confidence.
it'll probably change after the performance we put in against Arsenal. So it's always weird doing this, isn't it? I do like a double preview, yeah. But yeah.
Matt?
I'm going to say 3-1 Wolves. I think West Ham will always score. I think Bowen's a great player. He's almost like the English Jota for me. The way he goes forward and how direct he is, I think he's wonderful. So I think they will score, but I think it'll be 1-1, and then we'll get like a quick fire double, and that'll kill the game. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, that'd be nice. And the manager of the month curse seems to be sort of fading away a little bit. We were a bit apprehensive, weren't we, after the Norwich and Arsenal results to kick it off, but it seems to be doing okay so far. Let's turn our attentions then to something I saw earlier, which was that the Masters football is going to be back. It hasn't been on our screen since 2011, can you believe it? So 11 years without Masters football. Harry, what are your memories of it, and will you be tuning in?
We were saying before we come on, wasn't we? I remember when Steve Ball played in it, although not very well because his knees were crocked. But I love it. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's a really good show. I'm glad they're bringing it back. And now, obviously, 10 years plus later, it'd be a lot of the boys from that era, won't it? 2010, 2011 probably playing. And will we see the likes? How old's Dave Edwards now? But he's still playing.
He's still playing for Ballatone.
Yeah, so he won't play. But we're going to see a lot of our heroes, aren't we? It's going to be really good.
Talking to Dave Edwards, I thought he was excellent in that Neves interview.
Oh, brilliant!
He's a presenter in the making. I thought the interview with Neves was good, but I was like focused on like Dave Edwards, like this bloke's natural. But you see Neves is like little slips into Black Country accents.
Yeah.
So wholesome.
It's always funny, isn't it, when they pick up the little
messy.
Who would you love to see sort of from that era playing Masters football? I mean, it's just made for George Elokobi, isn't it?
Is he still playing?
Is he still at Leighton Orient? I can't remember.
No, he was at like a non-league team, wasn't he? Yeah.
I just trying to think who'd play, because I think like the crop of players in the year under McCarthy, like Stephen Ward's still at Walsall. I think you'd have to go before that. But
yeah.
There's no one of any real note there. You'd probably get players like Nathan Blake playing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it'd be like
that kind of players, or
Craddock, maybe.
Yeah, I think Craddock could probably play.
Yeah.
Like even the likes of Jay Bothroyd, I think he's still playing in Japan.
Ebanks Blake will play, or was he still playing?
Ebanks Blake was playing for Walsall Wood recently, but I think he stopped playing. But yeah, he'd
probably have a go, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
The last Wolves team that was put out, which was in July 2011, had Derek Dudley in goal, Mark Burke, Scott Taylor, Phil Robinson, Andy Thompson, Colin Cameron, Kevin Cooper, and Don Goodman.
Wow, some names there.
It's a blast from the past.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Kitely's just signed for Rushall Olympic, or he did this season earlier. He could play.
Yeah. Carl Henry?
Mate, Carl Henry do bits in
Yeah.
I mean, even Matty Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
Not playing anymore.
How old is Matty Jarvis?
Matt Jarvis, he's only like, was he about 36, Matt Jarvis?
35.
35, God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
35.
it's not.
He was at Woking last, but
Yeah.
I think he's hung up his boots.
That's a
he
shame,
has.
isn't it?
Mm.
I think his knees. It's just going to be like old schoolers with more knee straps than I wore at that charity game.
The players from the McCarthy and the Prem, those who have retired, is probably through injury anyway.
Yeah.
Who else?
Kevin Doyle,
Even David Jones, the midfielder.
Yeah,
good
that's a
point,
shout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it'd be
he's
interesting
good.
to see which way they take it, because I imagine they're going to bring it into the 21st century a little bit, but it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Alex Ray, Martin Webb said.
Alex Ray would be absolute boss, wouldn't he? Although I believe, because I think Paul Ince has taken an interim job as ready manager, hasn't he? And I think there's talk of him taking Alex Ray as part of his backroom staff. See what happens with that. If he's not getting the punditry work, he said he'd go back into the management side of things, because you have to sort of start over again, don't you, to get your
Is that where Ince has gone?
Yeah, I think it's like halfway through May or something that it runs to.
But he did really well, didn't he? With was it Blackburn he managed?
Yeah,
or Milton Keynes.
Blackburn, MK Dons he did.
Yeah, he did bits with
Blackpool.
Like MK Dons, didn't he? And then went to Blackburn and then
shanked it at Blackburn, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
Did he last about 12 games or something? Stupid.
I think so.
It might be the year they got relegated. But he's obviously done a classic and come out saying that Reading are basically like Barcelona in the first half of their last game. So there's only a few tweaks to make. It's a bit of a bold statement, to be honest. But there you go. Yeah, obviously compared to Barcelona, classic Reading FC. Right. Okay. Well, look, we'll leave that there for another week, and we'll say thank you to Matt Cooper for joining us.
Hold on. What about
do you have something else to talk about? Sorry.
The media. Was we going to talk about the media's take?
Oh, because you sent through a tweet, actually, didn't you, earlier? And it said, fill in the blank, who's going to finish in the top four.
And Wolves weren't even there.
No, and they had a picture. Yeah, who was it? David Moyes,
Conte,
Rangnick.
Obviously.
And then who did Arteta. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm okay going under the radar.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's a big topic, because obviously when you listen to Talk Sport, Sky Sport, although to be fair to Sky Sport, they did do a bit of a feature on it on Sunday morning. But yeah, it's just weird. Every time it's mentioned, obviously they'll mention Wolves, but it's always about obviously Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, Man United. And the way I look at it, the big mainstream platforms, BT Sport, Sky Sports, Talk Sport, I think they just like to hype up and talk about the teams that get on the most clicks and listens.
Yeah.
So they look at Wolves and they just think, let's not bother mentioning them type thing. Like they'd rather like Spurs and Arsenal obviously get in for their own narrative. But I don't know. I get the point of people saying, obviously this is going under the radar. It don't matter. They're not taking us seriously. But it does annoy you a little bit, doesn't it? Because we're there. I mean, if we win our 2 games in hand, we literally could be in the top 4, and it's just a bit frustrating that we sometimes don't get the credit we deserve. So,
do you honestly believe we'll get the top 4?
Well, there's an out we can. We can do it. I don't think we will.
Norwich can as well.
well, that's a bit far. No, but I think the way we're going, I mean, our points tally at this stage is the highest we've had, hasn't it, since we come back up? So, if we win the next 2.
We're 6 points ahead of the season when we finished 7th, but didn't get Europe because Arsenal won the FA Cup. And I think we're 5 points ahead of the season. We got 7th and got into Europe.
Yeah, I think we can do it. It's just, but obviously we'd have to go on like a mad run, wouldn't we, and just win a lot of the games we've got left. But even top 6 would be huge for us, wouldn't it? But I don't know what you think, Matt, about the mainstream not really mentioning us too much.
It doesn't really bother me, mate. If I'm honest.
Yeah.
And when I hear like pundits on the likes of like Talk Sport, who they're ex-players but couldn't string a sentence together. it winds me up when I hear them talking about Wolves, because it's so cliche, and they tell them they've barely watched us play this season. It really annoys me, because you can just tell they haven't got a clue. So I kind of like it that they're not talking about us, but especially the last week, it has kind of crept in, and they're all saying like, Darren Ambrose was saying as a Spurs fan, Wolves are a massive problem, but I don't think Wolves will get top 4. It's nice to be considered. I don't, but I'll be happy with any European qualification, whatever that looks like. Get me there, get me on the plane.
That's thing,
it, isn't it? That's the
Sam, I listened. Obviously, I weren't on last week, and I listened back when Jack and Bayless were saying they'd prefer to be in the Conference League over the Champions League.
believe
Come
it.
on, that's a bit
understand.
far. Obviously, if
understand.
we got in the Champions League, that would be ridiculous. I never thought Wolves would ever have a chance to get in the Champions League. So, although this Europa Conference thing would have some interesting places to go, like really weird places, you've got to want to be in the Champions League for that, haven't you? Come on.
100%. Yeah, I mean, the teams in the Champions League group stages this year, every single one would have been an incredible city to go to on whatever night of the week it is.
Think of the caliber of player that we could potentially attract
Exactly.
to the top 4 as well. I mean, that's with Fosun putting her hand in the pocket. Chance would be a fine thing, but you keep the likes of Neves if you get. I think even if you get Europa League, you keep Neves.
Yeah,
I think he's going to sign a new contract. The amount of media the club have done or content around him for making 200 appearances, it almost feels a bit strange. It's like overkill. So I wouldn't be surprised if they announce he's signed a new contract in the next few months.
But he said, like, obviously I love the club. I'm going to come back and watch us when we retire. You don't know what happens in football. I love the quote, but it did kind of come across to me like he knows he's going to move on. I don't know if what you.
Well, you saw it as more of a goodbye.
It's more of a, obviously we don't know what's going to happen in football, but whatever happens, I would come back and watch Wolves to retire. It's kind of like, it was the bit where he said, you never know what will happen in football. That makes me think he knows in a few years he'll be gone. He will, won't he?
You don't know, do you? I mean, Bruno Lage should go in the summer. He's only got, I think he only signed a 2-year deal. He could be gone in the summer.
Yeah.
Someone might come in and buy him out of his contract. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if someone did, like someone big came in. Because he could go to, I don't know, a bigger club and, that will guarantee you can spend 100 million this window. He might
Newcastle?
He might. I think the thing that would keep him would be the Mendes connection, because obviously he's client, Portuguese players. But yeah, it's interesting. But I think even if you get Europa League, Neves stays. He could go and play in the Champions League quite comfortably, but I think
he's playing there at 17 years old, wasn't he? He's been there and done it.
I remember when we did an interview with Greg Alford. Obviously, not very fondly remember the Wolves. He played in that game at Cardiff. When Ruddy made penalty save at the last minute. Yeah, and I think Jota was on the pitch that day. Costa, Cavallero, and I said, "Has anyone who stood out?" And he went, Neves. He said the kid was about 20, and he went, he's on another level. He went, we couldn't get anywhere near the kid at 20. So
the thing about Neves now, and I saw a tweet ages ago, and it hadn't even crossed my mind. And every time he's mentioned it, I think of it is that why isn't he number 7? Because it's literally his name backwards, isn't it? And it gets me every time. I think why is he number 8?
I think it's purely positional, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what made me? Did you watch the Cody 300 video as well?
Yeah.
He said, didn't he, after that Cardiff game, they all got on the bus and had a load of beers, obviously, because it was a huge result. Cody don't drink. What that shocked me.
A lot of players don't.
No, I suppose,
a lot of players aren't alcoholics, Harry.
Yeah, but it just surprised me because Cody seems like the type to me that would be the type to have a few beers after the game. I don't know why. I don't know if that's just but that just shocked me, yeah.
Do you reckon Cody, if you did have a few beers after the game, do you reckon he'd put a video on Twitter on the train?
I can't believe
Probably not, mate. Oh my God, I was so bad. I watched that back this morning. I was like, yeah.
I can't believe it. I was like, I'm going to check and see if he's deleted it yet, and he hadn't. So,
I didn't see it.
I was surprised to say that it sent me a message on Twitter today, because normally just the account gets called, doesn't it?
That's it, yeah.
And then we go again Friday.
Just get anxiety for like 3 days. And
that's it, yeah. Crippling anxiety.
I get like that though. Like I've tweeted some shit when I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Like I'm finally starting to realise that.
Have you tweeted some shit when you're sober, Matt? Haven't you?
On the world's worst.
I think I make more sense when I'm pissed.
The only other thing to mention is obviously England coming to Molineux for 2 games, isn't it? I know one's behind closed doors, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to go? You can try and get tickets.
Can you get them, do you reckon, Matt? And it through club? I've never been to an England game, I haven't, so I wouldn't even know how to get one.
It'll probably be done through the England supporters group, won't it? So it'll be done on loyalty, I'd imagine. I've not got a previous history. I went to the final Euros, but won that from UEFA. So
yeah,
I don't know. There's got to be an allocation from the club, though. There's got to be. If I can get a ticket, I'll go. But
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to be arsed if I don't go.
So is it the first one that's behind? Is it because of racism
Yeah.
or something? They've been punished, and so it's
Italy,
behind
wasn't
closed
that?
door.
Is it Hungary game?
Ah, right, yeah.
I can't remember who playing.
Yeah, it was.
That's annoying though, but it's exciting, and I like it when they do that. Like I like it when
Yeah,
they go to grounds. I've always said I think England's main like home stadium should be in the Midlands anyway, just for convenience sake.
They should have built it in Burton by the training ground. That's where.
Yeah. I love it when they do it because obviously they've been to they was at Sunderland, weren't they? And they've been to like Leeds, so I like it.
Well, haven't they? I hate Wembley. I hate
ain't
the
the best,
ground.
is it?
Matt, you need to stop going to fucking Wembley. You keep losing. FA Cup semi-final, finally Euros.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a ball ache to get to. Obviously most grounds in London are not very fond memories there. We beat Spurs there, but I just can't stand it. And obviously going to the Euros final was just I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not one of these like massively patriotic fellas, but I think we all get gripped when the
tournament comes around.
Yeah, and when you spend like the amount of money I spent on a ticket to go and see us almost perform like a Nuno side. Shut the shop. That'll do.
It'll be fine.
It was tough. It was really tough.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, Bayliss and Jack went to the
semi-final. Yeah,
final.
They paid. How much did they pay? Like, wasn't it like 250 quid each or something?
Can't remember.
Ridiculous.
They
just was like, we might not get this opportunity again. Let's go. And
yeah, well, I gambled after the Germany game because you could still get tickets through UEFA for the final, and a couple of my mates had already bought the tickets and they'd spent a lot of money on it, and they were like, "Look, if we get there, we get. If we don't, we'll sell the ticket." And I was like, "You're mad spending that kind of money on a ticket." Then after the Germany game, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to bite the bullet," and I bought a ticket for the final, and they sold out as soon as I'd bought mine. I was like, yes. And I was but on the day they were going for like $3,500 on ticketing websites.
Bloody hell.
And I was
like,
people were sneaking in for free, weren't they? Remember, like people were just running in on the day. It all went
loads getting absolutely walloped getting into the ground. Like, people just lining them out. I think I paid close to 800 quid for the ticket.
Wow.
Which is a lot of money for a game of football.
It is. And then when you break it down, like how much that costs per minute as well.
Although, got your money's worth, to be fair, with extra
that's
time.
Literally that's literally more than a wall season ticket, isn't it? When you put it into perspective like that.
But the experience itself, I didn't enjoy because it was full of knobheads. But it'd be like you'd be walking through the Wembley Way, and it'll be Leeds and Man United kicking the fuck out of each other. And Scousers out in Manx, and any Italy fans who come past were getting like walloped with empty cans. It's just like, do we have a reputation?
Yeah. But hopefully Kilman and Cody start at Molineux anyway.
They probably won't even be in the squad.
That's the irony with it. Yeah.
It'd be nice to give Kilman a little run out, wouldn't it? Go on, Gaza. Yeah.
Just finally, just on rearranged games, because we've had a couple rearranged, haven't we? And I know Jack is absolutely fuming because he'd already booked his ticket for the train. Because it was pretty late, wasn't it? To be fair, that they changed the things round. I mean, they need to start thinking about the fans a little bit more because historically they just haven't done that. But that could be quite expensive, can't it, Matt?
Yeah, and they're trying. Is it 3 weeks' notice they've given for the rearranged games? Yeah. It's not good, but you're never gonna please all the people all the time. I mean, for me, you don't really have to book trains or anything. I don't live far from the ground or away games. There's enough notice. So for me, it doesn't really affect me. So, but I think if it did affect me, it'd really piss me off. Yeah, it would. I'm good to the Everton game's been moved because I love going up to Liverpool. I live close to there. I've got mates up there. So for me, I normally go for the weekend. In fact, it's on a Sunday. I don't really want to have to book Monday off work. It's going to be a bit of an anticlimax, but we'll beat them anyway because they're shit.
Yeah, Jack booked a train, didn't he? And he can't get a refund, can he? So he booked a train ready to go to Everton. It's 3 p.m. Sunday. Saturday,
You can't. I think it's probably not a discussion for the 77 Club Wolves podcast. But if you book for the train line, you can get a refund on the ticket.
He sent us a screenshot, didn't he? And it just said you are ineligible for a refund.
Ineligible.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not
That's
English,
the Spanish.
No, we can't get a refund if he's ineligible.
Oh dear.
Right, well, let Harry go and get some sleep because obviously the game from yesterday is getting to his head. We'll say goodbye to Matt Cooper. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, lads. Been a pleasure.
And it's a goodbye from Harry Mansell.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Matt. See you in a bit, everyone.
And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Oh, I have to end it, don't I? Yeah.